very sad. Yeah. It could be anybody else, right? But in our neighborhood, we never had something like that happen here.
Shock, sadness, and anger in a Pickering neighborhood. An elderly woman killed in a random and violent attack.
A 14-year-old boy arrested and charged. What we're learning about the victim and the terrifying string of events that unfolded yesterday afternoon. Good afternoon. The teenage suspect appeared in court this morning, charged with first-degree murder. This is neighbors share details about the victim, an elderly woman who was gardening when police say she was killed in an unprovoked attack. CTV's Mike Walker joins us live from Lynn Heights Drive in Pickering with the latest. Mike.
Well, Natalie and Sean, all morning people have been stopping by the scene here to lay flowers. The community is really in shock and are grieving. And at this point, police say they are still trying to determine the motive. A grieving community grappling with the unthinkable, leaving flowers at the Pickering home where a senior was stabbed to death in what police called an unprovoked attack.
I'm really shocked. I can't really express my feelings, but I'm living like 8 years here in Pickering. Yeah. I never heard a situation like that.
I spend most of my time outside doing gardening. How would I go out there now? I can't.
Neighbors say the victim, a retired teacher in her 80s named Eleanor, was attacked on the front lawn of her Lynn Heights home while gardening shortly after 3 yesterday afternoon. Some neighbors say they saw the suspect shortly before the attack happened.
Very skinny person with this long trench coat. At this time of the year.
He really stood out to you?
Oh my God, right away. We don't see that in Pickering.
Yeah. I saw him actually before it happened, just right here in front of the house.
The suspect fled on foot, prompting a citywide response. An emergency alert was issued telling residents to shelter in place during the manhunt. The city also shuttering its facilities. Hours later, police arrested a 14-year-old boy who has now been charged with first-degree murder.
After a brief interaction, the suspect stabbed the female in a sadistic and cowardly unprovoked attack that was captured on video.
The motive isn't clear. Investigators believe the victim and suspect didn't know each other.
It's just unnerving to know that, you're so close to where you are that something like this happened.
A community heartbroken, left asking, how could something like this happen? Now, the 14-year-old suspect's identity is protected by the Youth Criminal Justice Act, and as we mentioned off the top, he did appear briefly in court. We are also learning that a community vigil is being planned this evening for the victim. Reporting live in Pickering, I'm Mike Walker. Sean, back to you.
Thanks, Mike. Peel police have made an arrest following a violent incident in Mississauga. Police say they were called to a business on Tranmere Drive near Derry and Bramley Roads around 6:30 yesterday evening for a disturbance. They found 2 men in their 20s. Both had been stabbed. They were rushed to a trauma center, and their injuries are now considered non-life-threatening. A man in his 20s is facing 2 counts of assault with a weapon.
To Queen's Park next, where Premier Doug Ford is set to meet with the Canada-U.S. Trade Council this afternoon.
It comes amid a trade war and the ongoing tariff threats from the U.S. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with more. Siobhan?
Well, that meeting is supposed to get going in earnest in about 30 minutes' time. We caught up with the Premier on his way into his office, and he says he's looking forward to a productive meeting with lots of industry players at the table. He has, though, been talking in recent days about protecting Ontario, a message that he first launched back during the election campaign, and that includes a new bill on the education front.
The Minister of Education is giving himself sweeping new powers over school boards and leaving the door open to eliminating trustees altogether.
I don't need them to give me advice on global affairs. What I need them to do is put money into classrooms.
This new bill forces schools to take on uniformed officers in their halls if the local police service offers a program, and it gives the minister naming rights for schools. Paul Calandra singled out the TDSB in particular.
They have wasted thousands of dollars trying to ascertain whether they should change the name of 3 schools, whereas at the exact same time, they're telling me that they have to maybe close school pools down, or they have to fire teachers.
There are moves for colleges and universities, too, including on the admissions process.
We would take the mystery out of applying to post-secondary education, ensuring students know exactly what they need to begin achieving their full potential at a college or university.
The ministry is already consulting with post-secondary institutions on funding. Colleges and universities have been slashing programs under a reduced number of international students and a tuition freeze. The minister also wants to take time to talk about the fees students pay.
So that we understand which ancillary fees are critical for the student education, as well as ones that can be opted out of.
Children's aid societies are already under review, but this legislation has measures aimed at that sector too.
Proposing to strengthen the accountability of children's aid societies by increasing oversight of their financial decision-making and by improving the transparency and consistency of the bylaws that govern them.
And requiring agencies to post their meeting minutes online.
That legislation isn't expected to pass until the fall. Today, again, the focus is on trade and tariffs with that meeting between Doug Ford and the U.S.-Canada Trade Council. That meeting starting around 12:30, and we do anticipate hearing from the Premier and some members of that council around 1:30 this afternoon. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Natalie, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Siobhan. And provincial politicians will be getting a significant pay raise as part of legislation introduced and passed yesterday. All MPPs are getting an increase of nearly $41,000, bringing their salaries to just over $157,000. Premier Doug Ford will see a $73,000 pay hike to just over $282,000, while opposition leader Marit Stiles will earn more than $244,000. Cabinet ministers will also get nearly $58,000 more. MPP salaries had been frozen since 2009.
It's fair and reasonable. It'll be at 75% of the federal compensation. It's still less than a Toronto City Councilor will be paid or a Mississauga City Councilor. And we're going to work tirelessly each and every day, sometimes in different ways, to help all Ontarians.
MPPs will also now be able to join and contribute to Ontario's public service pension plan for the first time since 1995.
Toronto's mayor is in the nation's capital for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference. Olivia Chow says she had a conversation with Prime Minister Mark Carney about getting more affordable housing built.
I said to the Prime Minister that I've waited for several decades to finally see a government that are coming back to building housing. We see President of the FCM also nodding. We've been asking at the FCM and the City of Toronto and myself personally that please, the federal government have a role to play to build housing. So we're extremely pleased that that is in the throne speech and that is what the Prime Minister said that he would do.
Chow says the Prime Minister is going to set up an agency that will build housing in partnership with municipalities. And while that's being done, they're going to explore ways to reduce costs of constructing homes. She says that's where development charges and other exemptions municipalities can offer come into play. Mark Carney is also at the conference and spoke this morning about what the federal government will do.
We will work with you to slash development charges in half for all multi-unit housing over the next 5 years, alongside the provinces and territories, while making, crucial point, while making municipalities whole through federal investments in water, power lines, and wastewater.
Carney also says his government will reinforce the Housing Accelerator Fund. It's designed to remove barriers to encourage local initiatives to construct more homes faster.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, more evacuations and another province declares a state of emergency. The latest on the wildfires sweeping across the prairies and why officials are bracing for things to get worse.
More news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. It appears to be clear right now, and it's getting warmer as we look at BMO Field, looking onto the lakeshore. Let's take a look at the satellite radar. You can see some showers in northern Ontario into the west of the city right now, but it remains to be clear here for the time being as we go to the current conditions at Pearson Airport in the Toronto Islands. 16 degrees at the islands, and Pearson Airport a little bit warmer at 21 degrees, but you can see there's that green in the northwest working its way towards us as we look towards those conditions right now. 19 in Hamilton around the region, 20 in London, 23 in Niagara Falls. That appears to be the high in the area. Warm in Peterborough at 20, and much of the rest of the GTA or around the province is in the high teens. Now, the current winds are moving through from the west at 17 kilometers per hour in the GTA, a little bit calmer around London at 9 kilometers per hour, 19 kilometers per hour out in Windsor. And if we look at today at a glance, it could be as high as 24 degrees, but there is a 30% chance of showers. And the winds will continue to come out of the west. Sunset tonight. The days are getting longer, 8:50 p.m. Well, we turn now to the wildfires burning in the prairies, where hot, dry weather is forecast.
Crews are hoping for some rain today as they battle blazes that have forced thousands of people from their homes.
In the days ahead, and this is our fear and why we're here today, as we think in 2 and 4 and 6 days we're going to be in a more challenging situation than we are today.
Saskatchewan and Manitoba have declared province-wide states of emergency. Most of the fires are located in rural communities in remote northern regions. Wildfires are also burning in Alberta, but it has been comparatively better off so far, at least. And CTV's Kamal Karmali is tracking it all and joins us now with the latest. Kamal, take us through the situation in the prairies right now.
Natalie, we're talking about dozens of wildfires still burning out of control, and the weather does not seem to be helping in the firefight. Crews are frantically trying to get some of these fires under control. Let's take a look at the Canada-wide picture right now to just show you exactly where the majority of these fires are concentrated. And you can see that red, those multiple red blotches across the country and across the prairies. That's where we're seeing the majority of the wildfires and the fight against them taking place. Let's move on to Manitoba, where they have declared a state of emergency yesterday, ordering more than 17,000 residents to evacuate their homes. This is the province-wide picture. You can see that there are 2 wildfires at the very least to the west of Winnipeg at the Ontario-Manitoba border. But if we take a look up north, this is where the majority of the wildfires are burning in the eastern and northern portions of the provinces, including along the Saskatchewan border. The evacuations largely from northern First Nations communities. Indigenous leaders have accused the federal and provincial governments of poor communication and slow responses. Having a look one province over in Saskatchewan here, their website says 16 wildfires are currently active. All 16 have resulted in evacuation, and about half of those are currently listed as not contained. We know about 15 communities have been evacuated so far, according to the Premier, and dozens of structures have been lost. That province also declaring a state of emergency. And then finally, Alberta. 28 wildfires listed as out of control right now, most of them in northern Alberta. Another 19 are still burning but considered under control. That province has yet to declare a state of emergency, but the evacuation orders are growing in Alberta. Hundreds of people have been told to leave their homes overnight and into Thursday morning. Have a listen to what some of the evacuees in Manitoba had to say.
I kind of felt misplaced driving here, thinking, where are we going to be put and what is going to happen next,
I don't even know what's in my purse or in my backpack that I have right now. I don't even know if I was able to bring my toothbrush and toothpaste.
What are we going to do? There's lots of worries in the communities all over.
One wildfire burning in northeast BC, but also the Northwest Territories and Yukon Territory unscathed as they are dealing with wildfires as well.
Wow, and Kamal, what about help being offered by the other provinces and Ottawa right now?
Yeah, as you can imagine, those provinces and their premiers really asking other provinces to chip in, step in, as well as asking Ottawa for help. So we know Nova Scotia and PEI have sent some resources, including a water bomber or 2 from Quebec as well. We know Nova Scotia sent in roughly 24 firefighters, crews to help Saskatchewan in that firefight. And we heard from the Minister of Emergency Management in Ottawa this morning saying that they have approved assistance to help the government of Manitoba. So a couple of assistance being sent there in those 2 provinces, and they are hoping more help is to come. Back over to you.
Okay, thank you, CTV's Kamal Karamali with the latest on the wildfires. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Canada's gross domestic product in the first quarter of this year was up by 0.5%.
It's a large part a result of the impact of those U.S. tariffs. Now, that's in comparison to a 0.6% increase in the fourth quarter of last year. Mining, quarrying, and oil and gas extraction were among the main drivers of GDP growth in Q1. Manufacturing saw an upturn for the first time since the first quarter of 2023. It points to businesses wanting to get ahead of the looming tariff dispute with the United States. And for more on this, we're joined now by CTV's Jeremy Sharon. Jeremy, so what do these numbers indicate?
Well, Sean, as you pointed to, look, there's kind of an asterisk here to these positive numbers in GDP growth due to the fact that this is deliberate business behavior trying to, as you say, get ahead of the tariffs, create as much runway as possible so that they can delay the impacts of these tariffs. You talk about exports being way up, the export of Canadian goods, any business that deals in the exports of Canadian goods doing as much business as possible prior to the imposition of any of these tariffs. Imports were up as well. And we're even seeing businesses, that are consumer-facing take action on things like this. I think of things like car dealerships that are bringing in as much inventory as possible to be able to sell that inventory at what they're calling, pre-tariff prices. We're seeing that a lot. Businesses trying to do everything they can to avoid the impacts of these tariffs as long as they possibly can. The downside here is that while it boosted economic growth in this first quarter, it is likely to do the opposite through the rest of the fiscal year as businesses who have done everything they can to try and help themselves early on here will have to deal with the realities and the consequences of these tariffs being imposed, some of them already dealing with some of these impacts. So, there is certainly an asterisk to what can be looked at on the surface as some positive economic numbers. There are very specific reasons for why we saw numbers outperform what many experts had predicted here in the first quarter.
And there had been some hope earlier this week on the tariff front that there was a court ruling in the United States. So where do things stand now with the latest court ruling?
Yeah, I mean, look, talk about impact here. The uncertainty is having a huge impact on these businesses, too. On again, off again, on again, off again. What we've seen transpire in the last 48 hours is certainly taking a toll here and is part of the uncertainty that businesses have had to deal with. We saw a trade court earlier this week, basically block Donald Trump's tariffs, saying that they had gone too far. The reasoning for them was not justified and not legal. And then yesterday we saw an appeals court side with the Trump administration and allow the administration to reimpose those tariffs. And so the tariffs are still in place. We're talking about the Liberation Day tariffs, if you will, which is what Donald Trump has called them, tariffs that are imposed across the board on countries around the world. This is going to play out in the courts now. The back and forth will continue. The Trump administration has vowed to take this right to the Supreme Court if need be, and in fact have said that even if they lose in the courts, they will find different means in which to justify the use of these tariffs. This is a trade policy they are sticking with, and they don't seem to be willing to come off of. But the uncertainty, the back and forth, it's impacting markets. It's forcing businesses to react. And as we've seen, in this first quarter, people are preparing for what's to come. Businesses are preparing for what's to come. And so it's already taking a toll on many businesses, and the continued uncertainty certainly doesn't help.
Uncertainty seems to be the word. Thank you very much, Jeremy Sherman, joining us from Ottawa today.
Anytime.
Meanwhile, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says his party will vote against the Liberal government's $486 billion spending plan.
This week, Mark Carney introduced $500 billion of spending with no budget. The first time that has happened in decades. That Conservatives will vote against this $500 billion of inflationary, irresponsible, out-of-control Liberal spending.
The proposed spending plan introduced Tuesday comes after the Carney government announced it would forego tabling a budget until the fall. That decision has been criticized by the Conservatives. Well, there has been no shortage of wet weather this spring in the GTA, and that can be ideal breeding conditions for mosquitoes.
So what's the buzz on the outlook for the summer pests? We went to one expert to find out.
An unusually wet and cold month of May left more than a few puddles, and when the temperatures heat up, these guys come out.
I think given that there's so much rain, we are going to expect more mosquitoes than usual.
Dr. Fiona Hunter is a medical and veterinary entomologist. Inside her lab at Brock University, they study mosquitoes.
We have some pretty good data looking at the relationship between heavy rain events and mosquito populations.
She says all the rain we've had early in the season is creating plenty of puddles and other standing water, the perfect conditions for mosquito eggs to grow.
These black dots here are egg grafts. These can contain about 100 to 200 eggs each.
But just as the rain has created the water they need, the cooler than usual temperatures can slow mosquito growth.
couple hundred in here.
The type of mosquitoes that bite humans can go from egg to adult in 3 days if it's hot outside.
If temperatures are 25 degrees, it's just zipping through. And if it's 10 degrees, it may take them 2.5 to 3 weeks.
In a typical year, the right mix of standing water and warm weather doesn't come together until late June or early July. And because it isn't all that warm yet, there is something that can be done.
With all this rain that we've had, get rid of as much standing water as you possibly can around your homes.
But get ready. If more wet weather comes, this season could be itchy.
Fiona Hunter says there are some 65 different species of mosquito in Ontario, and the ones that are hatching right now aren't interested in people. The ones that, like humans, they start hatching a little later in June.
Well, despite all that rain, it has been a sunny start to the day today, ideal for playing some baseball.
And today, the Jays Care Foundation is hosting dozens of children at an East End park. CTV's John Musselman is taking in the fun at Stan Wadlow Park and joins us live with the details. John?
Well, Sean, you're right. It's a great day for baseball. We'll just step out of the way here and show you. There's kids from 18 different schools participating from both school boards in Toronto. This is the Jays Care Foundation Spring Classic. And the idea here is to get kids involved in baseball. It's all about community, and it's about friendship, and it's also about giving kids a chance to take part in sports who may not always have the ability to join an official league because of the costs of the equipment or whatever. This is really sort of an outreach program to reach some of these kids, to give them a chance. We did have a chance to speak to the organizer of today's event. Here's what she had to tell us.
We all care deeply about making sure that kids who face barriers get the chance to play sport, and we want to unlock opportunities for them, because we know that kids who get the chance to play in really positive sports environments go on to have more self-confidence, more courage to try new things, and just feel better about their hopefulness for the future. So we want to unlock that, and that's why we're working with more than 2,000 schools this year and hoping to work with even more in the future.
And we've had a chance to speak to some of the students here, Sean. They've had a great time. We'll have much more on this story tonight on CTV News at 5 and at 6. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, John. As we head to break, we'll take a look at the cottage forecast. If you're heading up, Wasaga Beach, 11 degrees on Saturday, 13 degrees on Sunday. Partially cloudy, mostly sunny. Muskoka, much of the same, a little bit warmer, and the Kawarthas, a little bit warmer than that, with a possible rain a little bit in the weekend through the Kawarthas. And here's a live look at the city. We'll have more coming up after the break.
Well, Nathan Phillips Square has been transformed into a rugby pitch today. Rugby in the square is happening outside City Hall.
It's a co-ed non-contact flag rugby tournament. Games are battled out between different corporate teams. It's all in an effort to grow the game here in Ontario. The event goes until about 4 o'clock this afternoon, and it's not a bad day to do it, but May hasn't been great, let's be honest here.
Well, we've seen a lot of rain. It's good for the garden, good for the grass.
It is.
I mean, my grass looks terrible, so it wasn't good for my grass.
Mine is
fantastic. I hear it's good for lawns elsewhere.
It is, yeah. I gotta say, mine's good.
All right, well, you win the lawn game, but June is just around the corner, and we are looking at a decent summery weekend ahead, like a little on the cool side, but as long as it's sunny, that's all I care about.
Yeah, we kind of need this. And let's take a look at the current conditions right now. As we see, it's 21 degrees in the city. That's nothing like we've been dealing with. We've been in the low teens and sometimes single digits in the last couple of weeks. And as you go up to Northern Ontario around Sudbury, it's 15, which is as to be expected. All the way down in Windsor, it's 21 degrees. Now, moving forward here, we've got today's highs. 24 degrees in Toronto. The normals are at 22, so it might be a little bit above normal. Sunny with a 30% chance of showers in and around the region. It's much of the same, very close to our normals, but nothing too hot, nothing too cold. It's actually a pretty good Friday as we move into the weekend. Moving forward, we have tonight's lows could be as low as 14 degrees, close to the normal, around 12, 10 in Waterloo, 13 degrees in Niagara Falls. And then as we move on to the wake-up weather, tomorrow, 12 degrees on Saturday morning. That's not bad if you got to take the kids to sports. Sun-cloud mix with some wind, but no rain in the forecast, which is what we've been dealing with on a lot of days on the weekend lately. Now, the satellite radar shows that there's some precipitation moving in from the west. Will it get to us? It looks like a lot of it breaks up as it comes through the greater Toronto area, as you see that low pressure system coming across and pushing it off. So hopefully we don't hit any of that. Now, the forecast radar you show, there will be some cloud cover throughout the afternoon, but it doesn't look like that precipitation will hit the GTA, which is what we want on a Friday. We want to take it easy. We don't want to have to deal with any more rain. I think we've had enough of it, although our lawns are doing some good, some bad, as we talked about earlier. Tomorrow at a glance, 17 degrees with a normal 22, a little cooler than we'd want, but it will mostly be sunny. And then as we look at the 7-day forecast, going through the next few days, a lot of sun. If you remember that mosquito story we just had, get out there and remove your standing water while we have a chance, because it will rain next Thursday. But a lot of the temperatures are pretty good as we look to midweek next week, where it's going to warm up to 25, 26 degrees, feeling like summer conditions.
All right, and cyclists will be hitting the roads in Toronto for a good cause this weekend. Thousands of riders will take over the DVP and the Gardner for the Bike for Brain Health on Sunday. Proceeds go to support research at Baycrest to improve care for people living with Alzheimer's and dementia. Riders will bike along the Gardner and head up to the Don Valley Parkway. The highways will be closed starting at 12 a.m. on Sunday.
Well, the Princess Margaret Cancer Centre is launching a new fundraiser this weekend.
And as our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, it promises to bring researchers and fans of one of the fastest growing sports together.
Barbados-born cricketer Carlos Brathwaite has many reasons to support the new Cricket to Conquer Cancer event.
My history with my mom with cancer, and obviously it being the intersection of cricket and cancer, it was perfect.
She survived her breast cancer, but another person close to Brathwaite didn't. Fellow cricketer Kenroy Williams, who died last year at age 40.
On May 31st, I'll be playing for Kenroy, for my mum, for every family that has faced this fight.
Brathwaite will be leading a team in Williams' honour at the inaugural Cricket to Conquer Cancer event at Celebration Square in Mississauga. Some 40 teams have already registered, and organisers tell me it will be a less formal style of cricket, something akin to road hockey.
There's a big Asian and Caribbean community in Canada, so majority of the players and fans are from Caribbean or Asian ethnic backgrounds. And I think that's why it was important then for the Princess Margaret to use cricket as a sport to reach those backgrounds.
The money that we raise through the events such as the cricket event, it goes to support our scientists, our researchers, our clinical trials. We're very focused on a number of areas, one of which is finding cancers early. Princess Margaret's one of the largest cancer centres in North America and one of the most respected. We have over 700 clinical trials at any one time. We open about 150 new ones every year as new drugs and therapies come along.
For those not familiar with cricket, Brathwaite likens it to baseball.
So essentially, we're only dealing with two bases, home base, which is the stump at one end, and the other base, which is the non-striker's end, and you have to cross, and that is one run when both batters get in.
Still confused? Not to worry. He says come out on Saturday and try cricket yourself while supporting a worthy cause. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
England's Chester Zoo has welcomed two members of a threatened species for the first time in more than 30 years. Two female bat-eared foxes have been busy exploring their new home after arriving from a zoo in Paris. The siblings are sharing their enclosure with a family of Cape porcupines, which they would have encountered in the wild. Zoo staff say they plan to introduce one of them to a male fox in an attempt to engage in a conservation breeding program. Bat-eared foxes face increasing threats of extinction due to agriculture, hunting, and human encroachment in their natural habitat in Africa.
Well, you could call it Skip the Humans, the GTA city that's welcomed these little robots delivering meals after the details after the break.
Well, some mechanical marvels have been turning heads recently on the sidewalks of Markham.
It's all part of a pilot project by one of Canada's largest food delivery services. CTV's John Ventavelli-Rao explains.
There's long been plenty of hype about delivery bots, but rolling around Markham, Ontario, what's hoped to be a permanent option for hungry customers when it comes to their choice of delivery method.
Kids
have no hesitation. They go up to the robot. We've seen kids hug the robot. They see it like a friendly community member.
Sporting a friendly face, 4 of these mechanical marvels are now part of a 3-month pilot involving the company formerly known as Skip the Dishes. The bots can navigate sidewalks, weave around pedestrians, though they still have a human following them just to make sure there aren't any problems. Waiting for his first ever robot food delivery, Siobhan Khan, who used an app on his phone to unlock the lid and take out his lunch. So what did he think?
It's a pretty awesome experience, pretty new experience for me as well, and seems like a great innovation.
Delivery bots have been tested before and were even banned in Toronto 4 years ago over safety concerns and worries they could be a problem for people with disabilities. But the company behind this latest push, Waterloo-based Real Life Robotics, says in Markham their tests were done with local government approval, a first in Canada. And they think such bots are not only environmentally friendly, but that they could help businesses.
You know, in Canada right now, we have entrepreneurship at an all-time low, death of the main street, and you're seeing the cost of operating a business at an all-time high. So we need innovation like this. We need to start taking some bold, ambitious moves if we want to look at recovering our Canadian economy.
The robots can carry nearly 60 kilograms at 5 kilometers an hour, and humans at a remote operations center can take over if there's issues. Depending how things go, Real Life Robotics aims to deploy 500 of these robots in Canadian cities over the next 3 years. So what do people think about sharing the sidewalk with a robot?
I mean, as long as there aren't like 50 of them blocking the sidewalk, no problem.
With the hope these robots will finally deliver on the hype. John Valley-Rouse, CTV News, Markham, Ontario.
A new survey finds many Canadians still aren't interested in buying an electric car. The concerns around long-distance travel and charging station availability have been driving people away. But this next story that cost a man hundreds of dollars to boost his battery likely won't help the situation. Here's CTV's Pat Foran.
Close to $700? Like, wow.
John Kalisnik of Dauphin, Manitoba bought his first electric vehicle earlier this year. It's a 2025 Chevrolet Equinox. He had to make a road trip to Swan River, Manitoba, and charged his EV at a car dealership.
I got there, I charged my vehicle for an hour and 53 minutes. I plugged it in through the Flow app.
2 weeks later, Kalisnik says he was shocked to find out he had been billed $5.99 a minute to charge his car plus taxes for a total cost of $681. He called the dealer to complain.
When we put this charger in, we can charge whatever we want, and apparently they can. That's crazy. I said, that's way too much. And he said, well, maybe next time you should buy a gas vehicle.
We contacted the dealership in Swan River, which is about 5.5 hours northwest of Winnipeg. Greg Ashour says Kalisnik called ahead and was warned what the charging fees would be.
We made it blatantly clear what the price of charging was. The price of charging is also on the app and on the charger itself. It's just like a gas pump, essentially.
Ashour says in his area, no one is interested in EVs, and he's never sold one. He says he only installed the charger because his dealership was forced to.
The machine cost me $86,000, which I never wanted. I have no hope of returning any investment on that machine.
The Electric Vehicle Society, which promotes EV use, says users typically only get big bills if they leave their EV plugged in after it's been charged and it's blocking the spot for someone else.
When your car's fully charged, we're going to have 5-minute grace period, and then we're going to start charging you a fee per minute. And that's an idle fee, and that has no cap on it.
Kalisnik was refunded $300 by his charging app, but wanted to warn others fees they could face.
I want people to understand that price is outrageous.
Ashour says his dealership has since reduced the charging rate to $1.99 per minute. Pat Foran, CTV News.
RBC is asking employees to return to the office 4 days a week starting in September. The memo was sent to staff shortly after the bank reported second quarter earnings that were lower than analysts' expectations. It said the rule does not apply to roles that are fully remote or are already in full-time office arrangements. RBC employs more than 94,000 full-time staff across global offices.
The federal jobs minister is meeting with postal union officials in Ottawa today as the labor dispute with Canada Post continues. The Crown Corporation presented its final offer to the union representing 55,000 workers earlier this week. It included an end to compulsory overtime and signing bonuses of up to $1,000. Canada Post says it's waiting for a response. The Secretary of State for Labour will also attend this afternoon's meeting with the union. It says rallies are planned across the country tomorrow.
Well, if you rely on the 407, this could save you some money. A portion of the highway is going to be toll-free starting Sunday. As of June 1st, tolls from the provincially owned section of Highway 407, that's between Brock Road to Highway 35 and 115, will be removed. The majority of the highway will continue to be operated and tolled by a private company. Still to come this hour, one of the survivors of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash premieres a new documentary series that takes viewers inside his journey to return to the ice. We'll take you to the premiere after the break. It was a tragic incident that touched Canadians from coast to coast. Now a new documentary stars a survivor of the 2018 Humboldt bus crash.
It follows Ryan Strasnitsky's journey with adaptive sport as he works to make Team Canada for the Paralympics. CTV's Wayne Mantika has the details.
Ryan Strasnitsky attended a packed house premiere for a television series called We Were Broncos.
It's been 7 years since the Humboldt Broncos bus crash, where 16 people lost their lives and 13 were left injured. It's something that I think about every day.
Initially, Strasnitsky was hesitant to participate in the series.
The more I thought about it, the more I thought it could be good exposure for adaptive sports, my journey, and then kind of a thank you to let people know that from their support, I was able to be in this position now and continue to strive for the Paralympics.
The 6-part series documents the partially paralyzed hockey player's attempt to make the national sled hockey team and an unexpected turn.
So I got cut from the national sled hockey team, and my entire life revolved around getting cut from sport teams. So I knew that the next step was continue to move forward. That's all he's ever taught. My dad taught me that. And so my next path forward, my next open door was wheelchair basketball.
The series airs Monday nights on the AMI cable channel and streams on AMI Plus.
And so one of the things that we've been able to do is work across Canada with production companies reflecting content with people with disabilities.
The series is the creation of Regina television producer Lucas Frisson.
And have a personal connection to the Humboldt crash because I was best friends with Mark Cross, the assistant coach who died in the crash. So, you know, it's always something that's been close to me, and I've always followed Ryan's journey from afar. And
Strasnitsky is pleased with how the television series turned out.
It's a part of life. It's something that happened that I wish I could take back, but you know, life moves forward, and you try to live your best life and do it in memory of them and everyone that we lost that day. So it's a lot of mixed emotions, but a lot of it's like that push and that drive to move forward for them.
Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
In the meantime, the Edmonton Oilers are headed back to the Stanley Cup final. Connor McDavid potted this breakaway goal in the second period to add to the Oilers' lead. He would have finished with 2 points to help push the Edmonton Oilers to a 6-3 victory over the Dallas Stars. The Oilers will look for revenge in the Stanley Cup final after the Florida Panthers defeated Edmonton in 7 games last year. The series kicks off this coming Wednesday.
School graduation of his daughter, so he is away for a couple of days as Ernie Clement lifts it, drives it, and hits it out.
The Blue Jays will be looking for another win when their series against the Athletics continues tonight. Toronto put up 8 runs yesterday in the second inning, led by Ernie Clement, who kicked off the scoring with a 3-run homer. He would finish the game with a total of 5 RBIs as the Jays defeated the Athletics 12-0. Game time tonight starts 7:07. And Blue Jays slugger Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will receive a special honor ahead of tonight's game. Guerrero will be presented with the 2024 Tip O'Neill Award from the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. It's presented every year to the Canadian player judged to have excelled in individual achievement and team contribution. The 26-year-old also took home the honor in 2021 when he topped the Canadian-born MLB players last year in batting average, hits, runs, and doubles, while also recording 30 homers and 103 RBIs.
There's a new champion of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, a grade 7 student from Texas, earning the title for his savvy spelling skills.
Your word is éclaircissement.
Éclaircissement. E-C-L-A-I-R-C-I-S-S-E-M-E-N-T. Éclaircissement.
That is correct.
13-year-old Faizan Zaki ousted 8 other accomplished spellers to win the title after finishing as runner-up last year. He was told to take a deep breath before his final word, éclaircissement, but didn't ask a single question before spelling it correctly and collapsing to the stage to celebrate his win.
That was a good winning word.
That's a French word. That's not even English.
Well, coming up, positivity on a pole. How mysterious messages popped up in a Victoria neighborhood 5 years ago, and to this day, nobody seems to know who created it. Turns out it was the work of a unicorn. We explain after the break. Welcome back. Victoria Mboko's remarkable breakthrough at the French Open has come to an end. The 18-year-old from Toronto lost today in the 3rd round to number 8 seed Chen Wenjiang at Roland Garros. Mboko won 5 straight matches in her Grand Slam main draw debut, and that included 3 in qualifying. She's projected to enter the WTA's top 100 when the tournament ends.
Big news for fans of Shawn Mendes. The Canadian singer has announced a North American and European tour. Mendes released this video on YouTube announcing his On the Road Again world tour. The Pickering native will be stopping at 20 cities beginning August 2nd in Kosovo and ending on October 17th in LA. He will be making 3 Canadian stops, including here in Toronto, playing Budweiser Stage on September 28th.
A utility pole in Victoria has become a pillar of the community.
Its transformation began at the peak of the pandemic and now continues to serve as a canvas for kindness. CTV's Adam Zawatsky explains the motive and magic behind the makeover.
When she first approached it, Ellery did a double take.
It just kind of popped up out of nowhere.
Like finding a flower unexpectedly growing from a crack in the sidewalk. Hearts had suddenly started blossoming on this power pole.
It's very nice. It's inspiring.
It's covered with all sorts of quotes about hope and kindness.
It's nice to have these small moments that make you smile.
While the people passing say the pole's been sprouting positivity for a few years now, no one seems to know who created it.
I don't know. I've never been able to discover it.
But it's a mystery, yes. I don't know. It's a magical neighborhood fairy.
Turns out it's someone who just happens to have a magical neighborhood unicorn mask, who'd rather remain anonymous.
Because I don't want the credit. I want this to be the community.
Because it began, the unicorn says, as a way of cultivating kindness in her community at the start of the pandemic.
There was a lonely pole, and I thought, hey, why not put some art on it?
So, the unicorn, with the help and inspiration from a family filled with unicorns, started creating a couple positive things to post on the pole, plus an invitation for others to do the same.
A spot of lightness in comparison to a lot of bad news and fear.
And it's flourished ever since. Countless contributions have come and gone over the years, from the substantial to the silly, created by people of all ages, including Ellery, who was inspired to post some of her favorite poems.
There's just something really delightful about one person and then another person adding things to an otherwise boring street corner.
Well, Linda makes an effort to visit the pole a few times a week.
Something positive that we need right now.
Kelly is engaging with the pole for the first time.
You are loved.
We all need to hear that, eh?
Yeah.
Although the pole first bloomed during an unprecedented time, its positive impact is proving perennial.
Actions like this and messages like this help us to remember you never know the difference a smile can make for someone.
Because spreading love and kindness, she says, like spotting a unicorn on the street, feels like magic.
It is magic when we are able to connect in those ways.
Adam Swatsky, CTV News, Victoria.
All right. It's like the masked singer of kindness.
There was the shot where she was writing while wearing the mask. That was amazing.
Yeah, we'll never know who she is. It's like Pokeroo.
Yep. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the city right now. Pretty nice outside as we see the live satellite radar. There is some precipitation moving through the western part of the province, but it looks like it's going to break up as we get through to the GTA. As we look at the evening, it's going to be 18 degrees tonight, relatively clear. That's what we want on a Friday night. The 7-day forecast, lots of sun, some cloud this weekend, but moving into next week, temperatures go way up, so it should be a good one. And that's CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and on our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching. I'm Natalie Johnson.
And I'm Sean Leathong. Be sure to join us later with CTV News at 5 and 6.